Hi, and welcome to Northwest Brew Talk. I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is episode 39. Each week we promote the Washington brewing industry by talking to those people involved in drinking Washington beer. With almost 300 breweries, we try to highlight as many as possible every episode. If you're new to the show, we suggest you check out our back catalog with some great interviews and lots of Washington beer. On today's show, we have an interview with Dirty Hands Brewing, our brew news and views, and local music from Hello, I'm Sorry.
If you have any comments or questions, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at nwbrewtalk and on Facebook at facebook.com/nwbrewtalk. If you like the show and want to support us, why not become a patron? With a donation, we offer everything from a guest hosting the show to a copy of our upcoming book, Washington Beer. Head over to nwbrewtalk.podbean.com for more details. And to start the show, let's open our first beer.
Okay, we've got Huckleberry Pucker from Paradise Creek Brewery.
Paradise Creek Brewery is located in an old post office in Pullman. They're open 7 days a week. Huckleberry Pucker is 5.5% ABV and has an untapped rating of 3.78. This is their take on a Berliner Weiss.
Wow, you could smell that as soon as it opened up.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You smell that Huckleberry.
Yes, definitely. A Berliner Weiss is a wheat beer with some tartness achieved by kettle souring. The addition of huckleberry in this, just the right amount, does the trick of adding fruitiness, making this a bright, refreshing, and pucker-worthy beer.
Oh, it is pucker-worthy.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. This is a light golden color here, and it is
Oh, wow.
pucker-worthy. Definitely different.
I like that. It is definitely different, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, it tastes like really sour at first, but after a second...
You get the wheat.
Yeah, but you also get the flavor of the berry.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like 3 stages, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
but I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, something new. We haven't done anything from Paradise Creek. We've talked about it before. But, yeah, I like that. Yeah, you definitely get the wheat, the breadiness, the malt flavor afterwards. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I like it.
Great. All right. Another new beer and something else that Michelle's chugging down. All right, now on to our brew news and views.
Topping this week's news is a great story from Pike Brewing in Seattle. On the heels of their 26th anniversary, congratulations, founders Charles and Roseanne Finkel have expanded ownership to include 3 longtime employees: Drew Gillespie, Vice President Operations, Patty Baker, Vice President Controller, and Gary Marks, Executive Chef. Additionally, Pike is expanding an additional 5,500 feet. The National Beer Wholesalers Association, NBWA, announced that No Lie Brewhouse of Spokane is the recipient of the inaugural NBWA Brewer Partner of the Year Award. The award was presented during the general session of NBWA's 78th Annual Convention and Trade Show in early October. The award recognizes the brewers who do the best job in the marketplace producing great beer, building strong partnerships, providing valuable education, and offering support to their distributor customers in order to bring their beers to market.
Friday, October 23rd and Saturday, October 24th will be the 5th annual Snohomish Brewfest. There will be 3 tasting sessions with about 20 breweries, wine, and cider. The event is 21 and over, and general admission tickets are $30, which includes a souvenir tasting glass, 7 5-ounce tasting tokens, and $5 food coupon. Visit snowhobrewfest.com for all the details. Ghost Runners Brewery in Vancouver announces their anniversary party and Ghost Run to be held at the brewery on Saturday, October 24th. The Ghost Run is an annual event that started in 2012 with the launching of Ghost Runners Brewery. The Ghost Run will be 3 miles, but running is not required. We found that when adults gather together in costumes, they are more interested in hanging out and having fun than racing, says partner Amy Seibel. Every year, some people walk, some people take interesting shortcuts, and some people stay back and drink. At this event, running is optional, costumes are mandatory. The event will have food, beer, music, a costume contest, and raffle prizes. Tickets are start at $25.
On October 24th, 2015, Trapdoor Brewing will open its doors in Vancouver. Founded by Brian Schull, his sons Zane and Zachary Singleton, and investor David Forrester. Zane earned his degree at University of California, Davis, and is head brewer. Seattle Magazine's Brew Seattle Tasting Event is October 23rd. The third annual local breweries-only tasting event of the year features over 20 breweries located within Seattle, pouring over 80 beers. Tickets are $28, and you get 6 tasting tokens. Visit brewseattle2015.shindig.com. Fishtail Ales Beyond the Pale Ale, produced by Fish Brewing Company in Olympia, was named the 2015 World's Best Beer by the World Beer Awards. To receive this award, the beer was first judged in a regional-style heat in America. Over 1,000 beers from more than 30 countries entered this year's competition. Judges blind tasted and scored the entries, and the final 2 rounds were held in London, where 50 international brewers, industry experts, and journalists tasted and voted on the world's best beers. In addition to taking top honors, Fish Brewing Company was awarded America's Best Black IPA for their Real Ales Swordfish Double Cascadian Dark Ale and Leavenworth Boulder Bend Dunkelweizen. That's quite the mouthful. Won America's Best Dark Wheat Ale. Congratulations to them.
In our final story this week, you may have heard that SAB Miller accepted a takeover proposal after the 5th time of asking from Belgium-based Anheuser-Busch InBev, the world's largest brewer, in a deal worth $106 billion. Now, how could this affect the craft beer industry is yet to be seen, but already the Department of Justice and the California Attorney General suspect AB InBev has been buying distributors in California with the intention of edging out smaller breweries. The company, of course, denies any wrongdoing and said in a statement that it is cooperating with the ongoing investigation. Additionally, analysts around the country expect the deal could result in Molson Coors Brewing Company, the 42% owner of Miller Coors joint venture, to buy out SAB Miller's 58% share in the business in order to maintain competition in the U.S. beer industry. Or possibly, Heineken could take over the U.S. operations of SAB Miller. No matter what happens, it will be interesting to see how it plays out and what, if any, effect it has on craft beer. And that is the brew news and the views this week.
Welcome back to Northwest Brew Talk. If you want to submit news to Northwest Brew Talk, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. Or if you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, why not do it now? It's free, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. If you like us, a review or rating would be really appreciated. But make sure to tell your friends about Northwest Brew Talk.
Now, let's talk to Phil Chow from Dirty Hands Brewing. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So let's start out. You and your partner, Grant Merrill, both went to college together, correct?
Yeah, graduate school, actually.
Okay. And that's where you met each other?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and then you both went off on different tenures. You ended up eventually becoming a beer and wine chemist, right?
That is correct, yes.
So where did that take you?
Well, originally, just right out of some postdoctoral work, went and worked in the chemical industry for a few years, and then decided to make a change and get into something more fun. So, got a job at Miller Brewing out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, working on hop chemistry. So that was a lot of fun. Able to apply my knowledge to something that not only was really nice to do professionally, but as well as my personal life. So I worked there for a few years, and then I moved on to E&J Gallo Winery out in Northern California, and working on wine chemistry. So different beverage, but a lot of the same principles.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun as well.
Nice. So were you a beer enthusiast or a home brewer or anything at this time?
Yeah, so basically did some home brewing, not a ton because I'm out and working with fermentations every day.
Right.
But able during my time at Miller to actually play around with a little pilot system we had there on occasion. So both professionally and as a hobby. Brewing was definitely part of my life.
So what styles of beer did you like back then?
Back then, I don't know if my preference for styles has really changed a lot. So I've always been a craft beer enthusiast, even during my college days. So it really depended on my mood. So it could range all the way from lagers, light lagers, to heavy stouts. So really, there's not a style I could really say is my favorite at this point, but it just kind of depends on my mood of the day.
Okay. So did you and Grant stay in contact with each other after you both went on your different career paths?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, we were friends, and we were, in fact, in the same research group. So we'd get together, even though we were in different cities throughout the years, and so we definitely stayed in touch, and so that helped us move on to the next stage in our lives.
All right. So what was it that you guys, that finally that light bulb that said that you both wanted to get into a brewery?
Well, at the time I was working in the wine industry, and I felt like I really wanted to get back into brewing. And the sort of the commonality between Grant and myself was that we were both tired of working for other people, for big organizations. He was working for a university at the time. And we just kind of wanted to do our own thing. And beer was something that came up, and it was both something that we enjoy and like and have a passion for. And so we were getting also at the stage of our lives, if we didn't do it now, we'd never do it. So here we are.
So when was that? What year?
That was kind of the seed of the business, at least from a mind's eye view, was planted around 2012. We didn't get really started in earnest towards until the end of 2012, and really 2013 is when the business really started going in terms of acquiring a site, getting all the licensing, starting to build out all of that stuff.
So were you located in Seattle?
No, I was located actually down in Modesto, California, and Grant was down in San Antonio, Texas. So it was a little bit of a challenge working remotely for a few months. We finally both made the move up to Vancouver in the spring of 2013.
So I meant Vancouver. Sorry about that. But what prompted you to choose Vancouver as a location to open a brewery?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I don't know if you have time, but just to make it short, originally we were thinking about doing this in Peoria, Arizona, which is a Phoenix suburb. But through a bunch of really, almost looking back on it, wacky sort of series of events, we decided not to do it in Arizona, and so we're looking for a new place to be. And I happened to be in Portland for a wine conference in my previous job, and we both have friends that live in Vancouver, so I came across the river and had dinner with my friends. And looking at the competitive landscape at the time, it certainly wasn't Portland. There were a lot less breweries, and still are in Vancouver. From my Miller days, it was definitely a place I enjoyed coming to because we would take hop trips and things like that for Miller. So from the standpoint of the area of the country, beer culture, competitive landscape, all those things, looking at it more closely, Vancouver seemed like the place to be, and that's kind of how we decided on Vancouver.
Okay, awesome. So what size system do you guys have in your brewery?
It's a small system, so it's 3.5 barrels. We're kind of limited by our space because our production facility is actually in the basement of our space, and so the ceilings are only about 9 feet high. So we couldn't really stuff a bigger system down here, but it suits our needs because most of our production is sold through our brew pub, which is upstairs, and gives us the flexibility to experiment with different things. And so it's a nice little system, and that's what we have.
So what styles do you do you have on tap on a regular basis?
So, of course, we're in the Pacific Northwest. We always have an IPA on tap. We always have had an American wheat, although we've been transitioning into more German-style Hefe. We typically have other light styles on, like a pale ale. We've had smashes, single malt and single hop beers on. We've also, during the cooler times of the year, have had porters and stouts. We've got a brown that we've had on most of the time. We've done seasonal, certainly. So we've got a pumpkin going on right now or in process. And we had a pumpkin last year. We did kind of a weirdo for Christmas last year, a ginger mint porter. We're also doing a couple of wet hop beers as well for the season. So it runs the gamut. We haven't really done much in the way of lagers, although we've done our first lager, so that's still in process. And we haven't really done much in terms of sours or Belgians and things like that. So that's kind of in a nutshell the styles that we've done.
Okay, but you mentioned a few there, like sours and things like that. Are those styles you might want to try?
Yeah, I think we're gonna actually try to do a sour, try kettle souring. So we just have to be careful that
right.
we don't get the lacto or whatever in other parts of the brewery. So
Exactly.
we're gonna have to be real careful with that.
Okay. So you sell most of your beer at your brew pub.
Yes.
Do both of you brew?
I do most of the brewing, but just fairly recently, about a month and a half ago, we hired a guy. His name's Seth. To kind of take over and do the majority of the brewing from here on out. So he's got some great ideas, different perspective, and so I'm excited to see the direction in the road we're going to be taking the next few months.
Oh, nice. So you're going to allow him to experiment a little bit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
In fact, he's already doing that.
Okay, cool. So, as the owners, are you guys going to have like final say before, he goes off and does something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So, like you said, you have a limited location for brewing itself. Now, is there any plans in the future to expand or, add a production area or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, right now we're doing a little bit of distribution. So clearly our system doesn't lend itself to large-scale distribution. So as that starts to pick up steam and the volumes justify it, certainly we definitely are considering a production-style facility. So that's not something we can do on this particular property, but we'd have to go off and find a separate production facility, get larger tanks, etc. So yeah, that's definitely part of the game plan.
So then, would you bottle or can?
Oh yeah. So that would also be part of the mix, is bottling and canning as well.
Okay, and it sounds like you guys have thought some of this through. So what would be some of the first products that you'd put out like that?
So, really would depend on kind of the data that we get from what our distribution is now. So, trying to look at the market, look at what brands that we have that are most popular. So, I don't know if we would do an IPA starting off because there's so many IPAs out there.
Right.
We've got a brand that we're pretty enamored of, so it's our shitty brown. So that might be one that we would put forth as our initial sort of distribution flagship, and then sort of really playing it by ear from there, seeing where the market's going to take us.
Okay. So now you're located in the old Columbia newspaper building?
Yeah, so we're located in the old Columbia newspaper building. They left in the mid-'50s, so a lot of people don't necessarily associate our building with the newspaper, and that's in the name Dirty Hands is as a non-obvious connection to the history of the building, because when you read a hard copy paper, you get ink all over your hands, hence dirty hands.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where the name came from, and we're also trying to leverage that blue collar, working hard, getting your hands dirty sort of imagery and things like that, so it takes a little bit to explain the name sometimes to people.
No, it's easy, especially if anybody's old enough to know what a newspaper is and how you'd get ink on your fingers.
Yep.
But yeah, because a lot of modern day newspapers the ink doesn't come off like it used to.
Right. Or it's all online.
Yeah. Well, that's the big one.
Yeah.
But let's see. So you opened in 2013?
Yeah, November 2013.
Okay. And have you entered any of the beers and competitions?
Yeah, so we actually have a beer that we entered into Great American Beer Fest that starts this week.
Oh, cool.
So we entered our Wee Heavy, our strong Scotch ale.
Okay.
So people really like that. I think it's one of our best beers, so we'll see how we do.
So when you brew whatever you're brewing, do you
Mm-hmm.
like to brew to style, or do you like to play with, ingredients and such?
I think it's both. So certainly like pales and IPAs and wheats and things like that, stouts, we definitely try to brew to style. But when we get a little crazy, like with the ginger mint porter, it definitely isn't fitting any style.
Right.
And certainly Seth is brewing some stuff that's a little bit out there. So we will brew to style, but we're not a slave to brewing to style. So it all kind of depends on the beer and what we're brewing that particular day.
So how did the ginger mint porter go over?
Well, I think it went over pretty well. I think a lot of people liked it. Certainly, it was a bit of a weirdo. So you certainly get people who that wasn't their cup of tea. But
Yep.
it's different. It had some different flavors, and it wasn't your traditional sort of Christmas beer. So
Yeah.
I think all those things are part of its appeal.
Sure. So having the brew pub, do you have regular customers that come in and are like, what do you have new?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You always hear that question. So people come in, and a lot of times that's their first question, what's new? So I think that's not exclusive to us. I think anybody who has a brewery or owns a brew pub will get that question, and we certainly do.
Now, do you see that as, a challenge going down the road for you and other breweries where, the customers are constantly looking for something new instead of, like in the old days, they would just go pick up one of the mega brands and that would be what they would drink all the time?
Right. So, I think it's a challenge, but I think it's a fun challenge because you certainly can have your core beers on all the time that people who just want what they're used to or what they like will always have those, and then there's plenty of styles, and especially if you're not a slave to style, plenty of different beers you can make that's new, and so it's pretty easy to actually come up with new things, or even bring styles back that you've brewed before but haven't been on in a year. That's essentially a new beer again. I mean, although it really isn't.
Right.
But so you've got a lot of options, and that makes it really fun for us as brewers.
So, starting a brewery, and you were starting in a city that neither one of you were from. So, what do you think was one of the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome?
Well, I think it's just basically getting to know the brewing community here, as well as getting established with vendors and also customers. So really starting with a blank slate, and people here have been very friendly and pretty open and welcoming. So I think we've built up pretty good network of people, network of vendors, customers, people in the brewing community, and that's one of the appeals of brewing is that beer is pretty collegial, and we got a lot of help starting up. And in fact, we just cold called somebody and said, "Hey, can we look at your glycol system?" And he said, "Sure, come on down." And that's something that you don't necessarily see in other industries, like pharmaceuticals or something like that.
Yeah,
so
let's go see your formula.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, let's take a look at your formula here. I'm not sure if I got it right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if people give their recipes away, but certainly, helping you with equipment. And in fact, there was one time a guy down the road, one of his pumps failed, and he called me up and asked me to borrow one of our pumps. And I was more than willing to do that, except the electrical plug didn't fit his electrical. So what he did after that was he changed over his electrical to match ours and one of the other breweries downtown, so that wouldn't be an issue in the future. So
nice.
So we're all trying to help each other out when we can.
So Vancouver slowly growing into a little beer destination area. Mm-hmm. You finding you get a lot of people coming up from Portland?
It's I think it's a challenge to get people to come up from Portland because they've got so many breweries down there.
Right.
But over the past couple of months, I think we're starting to see, at least in our brew pub, more and more people come up from Portland. So that'll be the challenge for us as Vancouver brewers to market Vancouver beer to Portland people as an alternative, and try to extol the positives of coming across the river. A lot easier parking, all of that stuff. So some of the things that we can try to do is, there's talk amongst ourselves over here in Vancouver to try to get like a Vancouver beer passport program going, or some kind of organized brewery crawls or pub crawls. So we don't get a ton from Portland, but certainly there's potential there, and that's something that's up to us to try to tap into.
Yeah, you see Portland as, just a huge competitor, as a whole.
Yeah, somewhat, but people from Vancouver, certainly they will go to Portland, but they still frequent, the Vancouver breweries. So, I see them as competitors, but not, huge 900-pound gorilla that's killing us. So I don't think that's the case. And the more we can get people from Portland to come over here, then we can sort of mitigate the little bit of that business from Vancouver going over to Portland.
One of the things that I've asked a lot of brewers, curious as to what your take is on the number of breweries growing in this state. It's almost weekly that another one's opening. Mm-hmm. And in your
that's a great question because you brought up Portland, and every day I think, well, gee, how many more breweries can Portland support? And it seems like there's more and more breweries opening up in Portland itself, and right. So I don't know. That's a really difficult question to answer because I can remember when there was that craft bubble that burst in the 90s, mm-hmm. And there were a lot fewer breweries then than now.
Right.
So I think there's the potential for saturation here, but it just doesn't appear to be happening. So if I had a crystal ball, I could tell you, well, gee, we've got a cap at this number of breweries, but I don't know what that number is. So yeah, I think it's great that you're seeing craft breweries in smaller towns that never would have had their own brewery in the past, and hopefully, the communities and neighborhoods that these breweries open up in will support their brewery, and then that growth will continue on. But I am concerned. so that is a concern that there's just too many breweries coming online, and there is potential for a shakeout. And I would not be surprised if there was one, quite frankly. And also kind of, I think, depends on how the economy does.
Right. Do you think that Vancouver itself has room for more breweries?
I think right now, definitely there is more room, but I don't think there's a ton more room. Certainly there's underserved areas in Vancouver. And then the other way you could look at it is, at least from downtown where we're at, from a downtown perspective, there's more and more breweries coming in downtown, and it on the positive side, it would make downtown more of a beer destination, kind of like a Bend or a Portland or whatever, and that, if you can generate foot traffic and get sort of this critical mass going, that would benefit everybody. But I think there's room, but I don't think there's a ton more room in Vancouver itself.
Okay. All right, and without a crystal ball, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Phil Cho from Dirty Hands Brewing in Vancouver. Thanks for joining us today.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, thanks to Phil for that great interview and for joining us today. We will be right back after a local music break from Bellingham's. Hello, I'm sorry.
was Be Okay from Hello, I'm Sorry. You can check them out at helloimsorry.bandcamp.com. If you want to have your music played on Northwest Brew Talk, contact us today. And now let's try another beer. This time we've got Trumpeter Imperial Stout from Skagit River Brewery. Skagit River Brewery, located in Mount Vernon, opened in 1995. They're open 7 days a week. Trumpeter Imperial Stout is a Russian Imperial Stout with 9.5% ABV and 35 IBUs.
All right, this is one of those really dark ones. Looking through the light here, I do not think I can see anything. Pretty black.
This stout has an untapped rating of 3.86. Trumpeter is a huge beer with rich layers of smoke, chocolate, roast, caramel, jet fuel, motor oil, and hops.
Oh, I definitely taste the jet fuel. Yep. This is just like I said, you can taste the
oh, wow.
chocolate and
the chocolate
the
smell
malt.
is strong.
Yep.
Oh, the taste is strong, too.
9.5%. Yep. Yeah, you can definitely taste the alcohol aftertaste.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a strong beer. It's an Imperial Stout. And that's what those are. All right.
I want you to get me fresh beer. You serious? Now!
Welcome to Fresh Beer. This week's Fresh Beer is from Ice Harbor Brewery in Kennewick. They have 3 new fresh hop beers. The first is Fresh Hop IPA. This year, every barrel of FHIPA is bursting with 12 pounds of Amarillo and Simcoe hops. This promises to be outstanding. It is on tap now. Next is Fresh Hop Session IPA. They added fresh mosaic hops to the SIPA. This is also on tap now. Last, their Fresh Hop Kolsch, which will be released at the end of October after it's had a nice lagering. This year, they use fresh Vanguard hops.
Awesome. Lots of fresh beer this week.
Awesome.
All right, and that brings us to the end of this episode of Northwest Brew Talk.
Make sure you tune in next week when we chat with Fortside Brewing.
This show is produced and edited by me with engineering help from Michelle Rizzo.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at nwbrewtalk@gmail.com or give us a call at 541-595-TALK.
Until next time, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
Stay hopping, my friends.